Welcome to the Positive Growth Doctor podcast for women. I'm your host, Dr. Christina Wilson. I created Positive Growth Doctor after years of dealing with societal expectations, self-doubt, perfectionism that led to imposter syndrome. I leveraged my 30 years of experience as a positive psychologist to address limiting beliefs and gain clarity to build confidence and navigate obstacles to achieve a healthier well-being. I knew that pain all too well, so now I empower women to achieve confidence and live a positive-centered life. Subscribe to the podcast and check out earlier episodes so you don't miss a thing. Let's get to it. Welcome to the Positive Growth Doctor podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Christina Wilson. As we inch closer to the Christmas holiday, we are preparing for all the gatherings and all the meetups and all the things, and we're traveling. And Christmas is a time of joy and of great cheer. However, it's not always the case. While the statistics do vary, it is said that up to 70% of women have reported experiencing a traumatic event in their lifetime. That's huge. And the fact that it is reported is really big because so many women don't report these things. Traumatic events of all different types. They just go on in silence and don't even report it. So going back to holiday gatherings, think about this. Many travel to their hometowns where they see people who were either involved in a traumatic event or just weren't supportive when they needed them to be. And you might run into others who remind you of past trauma, whether if they were involved or not, or maybe a place where the event occurred. And in this episode, you can expect to gain valuable insights into managing holiday stress by understanding some of the triggers and the emotions related to past trauma. So this episode also aims to equip women with the tools needed to navigate family dynamics and maintain emotional well-being during the festive season. So find the full transcript for this episode on your favorite podcast app, or please share the podcast with other women so they can grow on their journey as well. And I always say, don't stop at just friends or family. Extend your reach even further to many more women by simply reviewing the podcast on Apple Podcasts. I appreciate you. All right, so let's dive into navigating holiday triggers and how we can understand how trauma can resurface during the holidays. So unfortunately, the holidays are the perfect time for trauma to resurface. And this manifests itself in a variety of ways. Triggers occur based on memories, dates, locations, traditions that serve as reminders of traumatic events. And this time might evoke strong emotional responses to sensory triggers like smells, sight, sounds. It may be just driving by a place or an area of town or smelling something that reminds you of it, a perfume or cologne or, something. Gatherings might bring up unresolved issues and conflicts, and interactions with certain family members that might remind you of a past trauma or times when they were supposed to be supportive and they weren't, and it creates tension. So the pressure to maintain that harmony or meet family expectations, that can be really overwhelming. especially for those who have experienced trauma within the familial context. And the holiday season, it often comes with heightened expectations for happiness and socializing, which can be stressful for individuals, you know, and especially when they're dealing with past trauma. And it might even be a stressor for those who are neurodivergent or have anxiety in general. And the busy nature of the holidays, because it is busy with numerous events. Um, there's just so much going on and so many obligations that you have to meet. That can lead to feeling overwhelmed and anxious in and of itself, right? So for some, the holidays can highlight feelings of loneliness or remind them of a loved one who has passed that's no longer there to, create the new memories. And that's particularly difficult when you've experienced significant loss or trauma. So, how do you embrace emotional reality? The importance of just validating and normalizing feelings that you're going to have during the holidays. Well, acknowledging these feelings, that affirms your emotional responses. They are legitimate, right? And they're understandable given the past experiences. And it creates or it helps to reduce self-criticism or guilt, which is so common with trauma, you know, or the guilt that just feeling that you're not meeting others' expectations for expected holiday cheer. And understanding that those feelings are so common, it helps individuals feel less isolated or alone in their experiences. And let me tell you, you are not alone. I mean, did you hear that number, that percentage? That's not even everyone because so many people don't report. Just think about that. You're not alone. You're just not. And there are so many people that are having similar feelings this holiday. So remembering that, it encourages open conversations, with others who might be having similar emotions and fostering that sense of community and support. Recognizing the emotions as normal, that encourages self-compassion, which is so important. And it allows individuals to treat themselves with kindness and understanding. It also promotes a healthier mental state by reducing the pressure to conform to societal expectations of constant happiness. And accepting these feelings as a part of the healing process can actually empower individuals to seek out and utilize the coping strategies that are effective. And it can lead to proactive measures, like setting boundaries, it, practicing self-care, seeking professional support if that's needed. Acknowledgement of these feelings is just a crucial step in the journey toward healing. And as it allows you to process these emotions constructively, which is, you have to be able to do that to get to the other side, opens the door for personal growth and resilience. We are capable of resilience. We can achieve that and experience that. And reinforcing that it's okay to experience a range of emotions during this time is really important. So, overall, recognizing these feelings are valid and they are normal is a vital aspect of emotional well being. And especially during the holiday seasons when these past traumas start to resurface. Okay, so let's talk about empowering your holiday experience, empowering you. And I want to offer some tips for setting boundaries and creating a safe space for yourself and prioritizing your self care. Um, First, I do want to remind you that Satan is the father of lies, and trauma does not define you. Okay. So when you start ruminating on the past and holding on to it, even engaging in the self blame, that is not coming from God. Okay. That is not coming from Him because He loves you. And that's coming from the darkness of Satan, who doesn't want you to heal, wants you to stay stuck in it, and does not want you to turn to God, right? And the Psalms reminds us that God heals the brokenhearted. He does, and binds up their wounds. We can find solace in God's truth and leave behind Satan's lies about us. Kick him to the curb. So, it's let's just explore some of the tips for setting those boundaries and managing expectations with family and friends. The first one, I have several of them. The first one is to communicate clearly. Have open conversations with family and friends about your needs and your limits. Let them know what you're comfortable with and what you're not comfortable with. And two, be honest and direct. Politely but firmly express your boundaries. If certain topics are off limits, make that clear in advance. I'm not comfortable, talking about this topic. You can excuse yourself. If they keep on and on and on, you could just excuse yourself and walk away. That is okay. It is not rude. The third is to set realistic expectations. So understand and communicate what you can realistically participate in during the holidays. Whether if it's attending events or contributing to preparations, it is okay to say no. If, for example, if there's a room in the house that you don't feel comfortable going into because of past experiences, then you don't have to do that. Or going to a side of town where something happened. You can stay away from that side of town. You don't have to participate in every single thing that the family wants to participate in. Okay. So the fourth is to practice saying no. Remember that it is okay to decline invitations or requests that just feel triggering to you or overwhelming to you. Prioritize your well-being. That is so important. And it is not selfish, especially what you've been through. And God wants you, I promise, to say no if that is, triggering some of those past emotions and trauma. He doesn't want that for you. Okay, 5, creating a personal space, a safe space or a sanctuary during gatherings. So you can think, okay, if I'm starting to feel overwhelmed, then I can go to this particular room or I can go to this corner and just retreat for a little bit of solitude. You can have your earbuds and you can listen to music, um, or read a book. Or just say, you know what, I just need some space right now. Most people are going to be like, okay, others, maybe not. But, you do what you need to do, right? And that leads me to 6, because 6 is about grounding yourself with grounding techniques. These are great tools to help you stay grounded, like using your stress ball if you need to. There's essential oils that might be helpful. And I actually get some from Amazon. And it's like a roller thing. I can just roll it on my wrist and, you know, it's helpful. Or maybe even a meditation app. Again, you can have your earbuds in and just kind of go to your corner or the other room and just, you know, ground yourself as needed. Okay. 7, you can plan ahead of time short breaks. Schedule the brief, being intentional breaks throughout the day just to go recharge. There's nothing wrong with that. You can go walk around the block if you want to. Hopefully it's not like crazy snowstorm or ice storm, but you can do that. You can get away for a minute. Number 8, you can also create some calming rituals. Like if tea kind of calms you, you can sip on some tea. You can get your journal out and do some journaling. That is very calming for a lot of people. Number 9, the importance of self-care and taking those breaks and prioritizing your rest ensures that you are getting enough sleep and downtime. You can do that in preparation to make sure you're well rested, because that's really important for your emotional and your physical health. And 10, engage in activities that you enjoy. Dedicate yourself to those particular activities that do bring you joy and relax you. So it could be some crafting. You might even set up maybe something with the kids and have some time where you make crafts for the holidays, reading or taking a bath, when you get home just to kind of relax. Listen to your body. That's number 11. That is so important because you know what? Your body is going to tell you every time. It will. Pay attention to those signs of stress and fatigue and respond by taking those breaks that we talked about, adjusting your plans when you need to. Just because you tell someone, yeah, I'm going to go to this doesn't mean you have to. You can say, you know what? I'm a bit tired. I think I'm going to stay behind on this one. That is okay. Um, they may be bummed about it, but they're going to live. It's going to be fine. And also, finally, seek that support that you need. Don't hesitate to reach out to friends for support, your support groups, your professionals, you know, to talk about things and for them, you know, to guide you in managing your stress. Always have that positive person, at least one, that you can do that with. Because by setting these boundaries and creating the safe space that we talked about, prioritizing that self-care, that is so important to maintain your emotional well-being during a time that can be joyful, but it can also, has some downtime too that isn't so great. So, keep all of that in mind and have your tools ready. Okay. I am wishing you a Merry Christmas, and we'll meet up again next week for some preparations for the new year, which I'm really excited about. All right. Be blessed. Thanks for listening to the Positive Growth Doctor podcast. Be sure to leave a review and tell other women about the podcast. Let's support each other. Find the full transcript for this episode on your favorite podcast app and learn more at thepositivegrowthdoctor.com. And be assured, you are not alone on your journey.